I'm Sonic Kim, America's face of dating, and today we have a very interesting email from a viewer. He says that he basically, whenever he talks to girls, there's interest from the start, and then suddenly it just disappears, it just vanishes, and he wants to know what's really going on there. And so I actually wrote down a couple huge mistakes that men tend to make when they're dating or talking to or trying to attract women into their life. And a lot of men, they don't even know that they're doing these things. And so if you find yourself in a similar position where you're pretty good, like you can attract them at the start, but then suddenly it just falls off, then you probably want to finish this video. And so let's just jump into his question. His name is Drax, I believe. Yeah, I believe it's Drax. And he asks, hey man, can you help me out? I guess I can. I guess I have no choice, right? He says, so this almost happens every time I meet a girl. At first, they show that they're interested in me, and then boom, suddenly they just aren't anymore, right? And that could be, I was sitting here, I read the email and I was like, it's pretty simple, but then I was like, actually, it's very complicated because every situation is different. He didn't really give a lot of detail on it, but I'm going to give a lot of dating mistakes that men tend to make, and they don't even know that they're giving them, that I wrote down in my notes here. And so let's just jump into number one. And number one is not screening women. And what this means is that men, they basically they lack the ability to like filter out the women that are bad for them, right? The women that are not healthy or incompatible with. And a lot of men tend to do this. They try to they're like let's say you're on a date with a girl, and she's like I've cheated on every guy that I've ever dated. And the man's sitting at the table just like, oh, I'm gonna make it work. I can make it work. I'm gonna be different, right? And then they get into a relationship, and then she ends up fucking somebody else, and it's pretty tragic actually. It's like when somebody tells you who they are the first time, when you're with a girl, when you're dating a girl, and you know that she's not compatible for you, you gotta cut them off, right? I don't think that it's this guy's specific Drex. I don't think it's your position. With this one exactly, I think it's something else on here. But with a lot of guys, they don't know how to screen women out that are bad for them. They just try to get they're trying to get anything they can get, and that's bad because it's bad because you're basically just taking whatever apples on the ground, right? Like the rotten apples that are on the ground, you'll take anything. It just shows desperation at the end of the day. Another big dating mistake that's kind of controversial is pursuing only one woman at a time. And I actually saw this on an article the other day that I read. It was, I forget what it was called. I'll probably link it in the bio in my bio or the description below. But it's like for men, like you need to keep your options open, especially if you're single. You can't just put all your eggs in one basket, especially from the start. And women, they want to know. Women don't like this, but they like to know that a man has other options, right? They like to know that a man is wanted by other women because what person wants something or somebody that nobody else wants, right? Why do you think that Gucci and Lamborghinis and Ferraris are so wanted? It's because everybody wants them, but not a lot of people have them, right? And this is the same with dating, is that women want a man that's wanted by other women. They want a man that's wanted by other women because it shows that he is in high demand, that he is high value. And when a man just puts all his eggs in one basket, he tends to get very, very needy, very, very clingy because that's his only option. And so he's like, if I lose her, then she's gone and I have no other options, right? So it naturally makes him more clingy, more needy, and pushes her away because he's put all his eggs in one basket from the very beginning. It's actually very, very harmful to your dating life if you do this. And it's different when you meet the right person, or it's different when you meet a girl who you're just like, damn, like, I really vibe with this girl. And naturally, if you meet somebody who you really click with, who you really vibe with, then naturally you're just kind of fade away from the other women that are in your life, and you're gonna only focus on her, right? It's natural to do that when you meet someone very, very good for you who likes you the same amount that you like them. It's magical when that happens, right? But early on in the relationship or in dating, of course, man, you should keep your options open because you don't know what's going to happen. So you're just kind of letting it come freely, right? And so another big, big dating mistake is it goes kind of both ways. It's bringing up past relationships, and this is critical because a lot of guys, there's two ways that I can really see this. And the first one, that bringing up past relationships, is asking the woman about her past relationships and getting jealous about it. There's a lot of guys that I coach who get very, very jealous of a woman's past, right? Especially if they haven't dated or had a girlfriend before. They find out that she's been in a couple of relationships. She's probably had sex with a few guys. They get very, very insecure about that. And they get very, very, upset about that. and it pushes her away because he's like, oh, he's kind of insecure about himself, And the other way that I see this is that the guy will actually bring up his own past relationships and just talk shit about them, right? And it's like, no, you want to put a positive spin on all your relationships. You could say, yeah, it wasn't compatible, like we didn't work out, but like it really made me into the man that I am today. And so, at the end of the day, I don't regret anything. I feel like I said, like we weren't compatible with each other, right? We just didn't work out. She wanted to do this and I wanted to do this, and we had to go our separate ways. But she's probably a great girl. She's doing a great thing. And at the end of the day, that relationship made me into the man that I am today. And so I'm happy that I went through that, right? Put a positive spin on your past, because we are surrounded by people daily who are very negative, who are very toxic on our life. And at the end of the day, you shouldn't bring up your past relationships. If she asks you about your past relationships, put a positive spin on it. Otherwise, just don't bring it up, because it's like, who gives a fuck about the past? Focus on the girl that's in front of you right now. Focus on that, because that's all that matters right now. Let's see. Another big dating mistake is when the man is being too submissive. It's also called supplication. Basically, when you're talking to a girl, and while you're talking to her, she's basically saying, she's like, oh, like I like this kind of music, and like let's say that she likes country music, and you like R&B, or you like rap, or you like something else, rock and roll, and she's like, oh, I like country, and you're like, oh my god, that's my favorite too, right? Every time she says something, she's like, oh, me too. He's like, oh, me too, me too. Oh, I like that too. Oh, that's my favorite. Like, you like cheesecake ice cream with gummy bears and chocolate chips and all this bullshit, exact amount. Oh, me too. Exactly the same. She's gonna be like, God, this guy's such a fucking pussy, right? It's not gonna turn her on. It's like, you gotta stand for something for yourself. You gotta polarize yourself. You gotta stand for something. That's what makes you attractive. Because if you just agree with what everyone says, yes, people will like you, but they're never gonna feel those strong emotions for you that are gonna create attraction. One of the biggest dating mistakes, the next dating mistake, is neediness, right? Neediness is basically like the behavior that's classified as too clingy, right? They're constantly trying to get her to fill up his cup with attention. Neediness is like, you have to text me back. If you haven't texted me in an hour, I'm gonna double text you. That's neediness right there. Let's say that the girl has to, like, she can't make a date. The guy freaks the fuck out about it. He's like, oh, that's rude that I did this for you, and I did this and that for the date tonight, and you canceled on me. That's neediness right there. That pushes her away, right? As a man, you gotta be okay. You gotta let things come and go as they please. You gotta control what you can control, and you cannot stress about the uncontrollables, the things that are like there's this. I'll tell you about it right now. I'm actually working through the same issue with TikTok. Is that my Q&A on my Q&A in my bio on TikTok, I have like 100 and something questions on there. People, they put questions in my bio and they ask me questions, and TikTok is being fucking stupid right now, because it will basically, it says there's 134 questions there is what it says, and only like 60 pop up, and then it's random every time I go on. And so I'm trying to answer people's questions, and some of them just disappear. And it's like, that's something that I feel like I can control, but I can't. It's an uncontrollable thing. It's an uncontrollable thing I can't control. And so it's like, part of me gets fucking pissed whenever I go on there. I'm like, fuck, I need to answer these questions, and then they disappear, and they pop up later, then they disappear. And so it's like, I'm trying to track down these questions I wrote scripts for to answer, and I can't find them, right? Because they disappear and pop back up randomly. And that's just, it's annoying, but I can't control it. It's a bug with the app, right? It's an error with the app that I can't control. And it's like, it's something, I gotta control what I can control, right? It's very, very important for men to understand that. Let's see. Another huge dating mistake is seeking approval. This is critical, right? It's like when you're on a date with, it's like, let's say the girl's on a date with a man, and every 2 seconds on the date, the man's like, are you okay? Like, are you having fun? Like, what's on your mind? Like, are you okay? Like, is it me? Did I do something right? Like, the girl hasn't texted him back in 3 seconds. He's like, are you okay? Like, was it me? What did I do? Right? He's constantly seeking approval. It's just fucking embarrassing, right? It's just like, you can't be doing that. You gotta stop caring what people think about you. It's like, don't say things or do things just to get a woman to like you. And that goes along with this next dating mistake right here, is buying things, right? A lot of guys, when they first meet a woman, and this could be Drex, this could be your case if you're in the club, is that you could be talking to a girl and she's like, oh, buy me a drink. She's testing you, right? She's like, go buy me a drink. And then a lot of guys are like, okay, because they're thinking like, oh, okay, if I buy this drink, then I'm gonna get some fucking pussy. That's what they're thinking. And it's hardly works like that, because women, when they see that they can, when you just go buy them a drink or give them free shit, then they see they can walk all over you. They can get shit for you for free. So why the fuck would they date you? Why would they buy the milk for free? Like, why would they buy the cow when they're getting the milk for free? That's what it is. Like, it's like when they can use you for your shit, why would they buy the cow, right? When they're getting the milk already for free, why would they buy the fucking cow? It makes no sense to them, right? So it's like you gotta make them invest just as much as you're investing into them. Like, if they want, the way to pass that test is that if they ask you for a drink, you could say, all right, well, you buy the first round, I'll buy the second round, right? You put it on, make them invest just as much as you, or say something stupid, exaggerate it. Like, if they're just like, oh, can you buy me a drink? Be like, yeah, I'll buy you a drink, but I'm actually moving on Saturday, and I need you to come over and move all my heavy shit for me while I'm kick my feet up and drink lemonade all day long, because I'm moving to the beach. So, yeah, I'll buy you a drink, but you gotta be there Saturday and Sunday. It's very demanding. It's like 8 to 8 p.m. every day. So, if you want to do that, but I can't move the heavy shit. I'm too fragile, so it's gotta be you. And she's gonna start laughing, and you just totally forget about the drink at all. A couple more dating mistakes here. Is giving too many compliments. Typical. Guys just like, oh, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful. Comment on Instagram. Like, the guy will DM the girl, and he will DM the girl and be like, oh, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful. And it's like, if you have a problem with that, like, you really need to jump into my AMP installment, because that's where I talk about, literally, I have a list of like guys in that program. They sent me screenshots of stories of women on Instagram. They're just like, how would I slide up to the story? Right? How would I slide up to the story to make it flirty, to really slide into her DMs and make her chase me? And that's the kind of thing that I'm doing in the AMP installment. So it's like, if you need help with your dating and attraction life, because I have a bunch of videos in there on cold approaching, techniques that I cannot talk about on social media, not even in my book. There's a lot of shit on there that is going to change your fucking life, especially in business, influence, attraction, dating, and more. And it's like, if you've got to get in that program. And right now there's a free trial. You get a lot of the stuff on there for free for 7 days. And so it's like, I really don't know why you're not in there. I'm probably going to take that down in the next couple of days. But, okay. Last two. Dating mistake. I don't know whether this is like 9 or 10 maybe at this point. But it's bragging, right? A lot of guys, they'll go on a date and they'll try to show off their nice car keys. They'll try to show off their iced out chain or rings, and they'll try to show off their money. They'll be like, yeah, I live in this neighborhood, that's gated community. Like, thinking that bragging and showing off their stuff is going to get the woman it may get the woman, if she's a gold digger, to want to sleep with you, right? I'm sure that everyone knows a gold digger. Everyone knows someone who likes the money, who chases the money, but that's not going to consistently make them attracted to you long term. They may fuck you for one night, and they're like, well, I got this guy, so time to move on to a different person who has more gold. That's why it's called a gold digger, right? And it's like, don't brag about yourself. Instead of bragging about yourself or talking about yourself, you should be focused on the other person. Make them open up to you. Make them tell you about them. That's what's going to make them want you, actually. Because they're like, damn, this guy's listening to me talk about myself. Like, it's fucking amazing, right? Okay. And finally, the last mistake is being predictable. And this could be your situation, Drax. I talk about it in my book and in my program, Waking the Core of Man, and in the AMP installment, that women, they want a mystery. They want to chase you. And it's like, if you need to know how to be more mysterious, then you really need to read my book at least, because I talk about in that book how to make really any girl chase you. If you need that ability, then you really have to hop into my book. But women love that shit. They don't want you to be predictable. They want to be on an adventure, in a romance story, in a romance novel. It is critical if you want to be the most attractive version of yourself. And so, Drax, I hope this helped you, man. I know it did. I offered a lot of value in there. And so make sure, if you need extra help, you can work with me one-on-one, or you can jump into my AMP installment, my inner class, or into my book. I hope to see you in one or all three of those things. I'm Sona Kim, America's Face of Dating. I will see you next time.